Mike Pendleton here with Calf Kick Sports. And as I just told him off air, I'm super honored and excited to talk to this man because it's easy to talk
You're
about the
watching
fight, and we will
Calf
talk
Kick
about his fight
Sports.
because he's got a very fun one coming up
Podcast.
against Dylan Tuke at PFL Europe 2 on June 8th. I cannot wait for it. The one and only Kane Mousah. Kane, thank you so much. Honored to talk to you for the first time. How are you?
I'm amazing, brother, man. And let's get that for the people who may not know me. Kane, the Danger Mousah.
Kane the Danger Mousah. I apologize for leaving that out.
Don't
Um,
apologize. You're already in my good books, man. You already give me the respect and the shout out in the beginning, man. So respect.
I appreciate that. Well, your journey is one that obviously anyone looks you up, they know that you took the trail far less traveled by many. We'll talk about that in a moment. But how excited are you to be on this PFL Europe card, and how has life with PFL been for you?
Wow. First of all, let me just say shout out to PFL. You know, what an amazing organization, what an amazing team that have come in and taken over took the reins of, the whole of outside of the UFC, the whole reins of the MMA game for me, the holding the scene on its back with all the new European fighters and supporting all these fresh up and coming fighters who are hungry, who want to prove themselves and giving them a platform to do so. I wanted to shout out Dan Hardy for the amazing job that he's been doing, matchmaking. And the team at PFL, man, it just feels so great to be a part of the team, a part of the roster. Look forward to the future. There's so much innovation happening with the company, and somebody who was MMA before MMA was like known on the local scene, because obviously MMA's been going. I was the young kid that used to watch Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz and Randy Couture. That was my time of coming up. And then obviously I started competing then, and it seems like a lifetime away that them guys were competing, and now it's getting to the point where I'm that experienced veterano, like they used to say, like they like to say, the veterano of the game, and I'm that guy here now, ready to take on another young hungry lion in the cage in Dylan Tuke. And I'm guaranteeing everybody that we're gonna go in there and we're gonna set a serious tone on this fight.
I cannot wait. I know this fight's going to be action packed, but fighting back in the UK with PFL, and I praise PFL because they just allow the fighter to come in, check in, and go fight. They'll take care of the social media, they'll take care of the promotion, they'll take care of everything. What does it mean to you, given all that you've been through in your life, not just in your career, that not only are you looking to get back on a win streak, but you're doing it in the UK?
Yeah, to get back in, look, it's been a while since I fought in the UK now. I've been in Paris twice. I've been in Milan, I've been in Italy. So for me, it's good to be back in the UK, back on home soil. Just driving down the motorway to a fight, it feels nice. My last, the one we did Ireland, then we did Paris twice. So it's been 3 fights since I fought in the UK. I've only got to drive down the road to Newcastle. Don't have to get on a plane. I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to fight in front of home crowd as well. More people can get to it. Traveling and the cost of traveling, and it's hard for fans to, this day and age, especially with this recession that we're in, and how hard it is for people right now with the spending crisis. It's good that it's going to be local, so more home fans can come and watch the show. So it's going to be exciting to perform in front of the people and hear a home crowd roaring and shouting my name when I come into the arena, man. It's always such a great experience.
Speaking of that home crowd and Dylan Tuke, and we know you're going to bring the danger in this fight. We know it's going to be a crazy fight. But what does it do for you internally, knowing you're going to make that walk in front of the home crowd? They're going to be chanting, saying your name, cheering for you during the fight. The arena is going to be going crazy when you can't have your feet inside the PFL Smart Cage. What does that do for you in this fight?
Yeah, it does everything for me. Every time I walk, every time I make that walk, I feel alive. I understand my purpose. When I step into the cage, I know that that's my time for um my time to prove myself to myself. To get in there and demonstrate to myself that I am who I know I am, and I'm a warrior, and I'm ready to lay everything on the line and give everything I've got to win a fight. And that's exactly what I plan on doing in this one. You know, it's getting more comfortable and more comfortable as the fights come on now. I'm going to be a 21 fight. This will be my 21st fight, so it's a lot of fights. And I'm feeling comfortable when I'm in the cage now at the moment. And I just can't wait to get in this time and be able to execute, you know, this new lease of energy that I've got for this camp and for this fight.
I can't wait for it. If you see me smiling, it's because the more you talk about the fight, the more hyped I get for it. I want to talk about a guy real quick that you just mentioned previously, and Dan Hardy, obviously a veteran of the game, and obviously has a huge role with the PFL. How important is it to have a guy like Dan Hardy, a part of the PFL, as business is booming and growing in PFL and PFL Europe, to have a guy like Dan Hardy putting this fight together and all fights together and knowing who, like a fighter like yourself, and where to put them, not just in terms of placement on the card, but in your backyard here in the UK and all of that. How significant is Dan Hardy to the PFL?
You got to think about it like this, right? I'm running through my head and I'm thinking UFC matchmakers. None of them are fighters. Am I wrong?
No, as far as I know.
Okay. Bellator matchmakers. None of them are fighters. PFL. And not even just all these other shows. Dan Hardy is a UFC veteran who fought for the belt against GSP. He was ironing people out. Yeah. He is an absolute stud of the game. Yeah. And he's not only that, he's a veteran and he understands the game. He's done punditry, everything. He is the best matchmaker that I've ever worked for. He understands the game. He understands fighting. He understands styles because he understands how to analyze fighters and fights because he's been in there himself. I just believe that with Dan Hardy, the PFL is in an amazing place. I think he was probably one of the best signings that the PFL did, was bringing Dan Hardy on. And I've got such a great relationship with Dan, and I believe in Dan, and he believes in me. And you know, when I say prove to myself, actually for this one as well, man, I want to prove this one to Dan for giving me these chances and believing in me. So when I'm fighting for not just the purpose of that everyone knows, my people, my family, those who believe, but you know, I'm fighting for people who have actually given me the opportunity and believe in me. And Dan Hardy's that person, and this one's going to be one for Dan as well.
Well, way to make me even more excited, Kane. Obviously, this is our first time talking, and one thing I really enjoy about having an opportunity to speak to fighters like yourself is not just we could talk about the fight all day long, but as a guy who's never stepped in the cage, my questions are limited. But I am a guy just like yourself who's lived life, and as everyone has, right? So I like to bring the audience who Kane is outside of the cage, and your
Yeah,
story well documented, prison, gangs. And as someone, I don't live in Chicago here in the States anymore. I used to, but the city I once knew and loved, that was, Chicago and Michael Jordan, they were the same thing. And then it was terrible fast food pizza and all that. Now it's just riddled by gang violence. Let me just start with this, because if it's okay with you, I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about,
no,
your previous life. And what is the biggest thing you learned through it all? Because some people go to prison, they stay there. Some people go to prison, they get a second chance. They don't know what to do with it. You've been to prison, and now here we are. We're talking about you having a fight at PFL Europe, and you're talking about a 21 fight veteran in MMA. What did you learn the most from your time incarcerated?
that if you truly want to turn your life around and you truly want to do better as a person, especially as a man who wants to build an empire and who wants to live life to the fullest, then you have to be willing to sacrifice. You have to be willing to be determined. You have to be willing to go through the fire of ups and downs, trials and tribulations, and never falter. You know, we could falter at times. People falter through certain situations. People falter when they get knocked back. And all the trials and tribulations that I went through whilst I was in my prison sentence, being found guilty on trial, being in a prison with other killers and people who are out to try and take what's yours and take your reputation and in a jail full of alphas and being able to thrive and survive in that environment only does me well when I come out into this world, which is, if I'm honest, if not just as tough, probably tougher business, fighting professionally, being a father of three, going through relationship issues, going through family issues, going through business issues, going through stumbling blocks in my career, fighting, losing, winning, losing, winning, winning, losing. It basically builds your mindset. It basically builds your character. And I feel like I'm in a position now as somebody who's been through a lot more than most. And there is people in the world that's been through a lot worse things than myself. But I believe, especially in MMA, nobody's got a story like me. You know, nobody's been a gang member. I've been a prospect in MMA, went to prison, continued to train, come out, went to a lower category prison, got a level 2 gym instructor qualification, got a level 3 personal training qualification, came out of prison, become a gym PT and a gym manager whilst training to fight, had a fight whilst he was on home leave from prison, won the fight and went back to prison and then was released 3 days later. Then carried on his career as a PT, then got promoted to a assistant manager, then got promoted to a gym manager, moved back to Manchester, worked with a music artist, one of the most recognized music artists in the UK, whilst competing, whilst fighting for the BAMMA world title. I got beat by Mark Diakese, came back off that. Then I created a clothing brand, became one of the largest clothing brands in the UK, whilst competing at the highest level in Europe for BAMMA, for ACB, beating the Cage Warriors title featherweight champion Alex Enland, whilst having my own clothing brand and still staying in the elite fight organizations at the same time as being a father to 3 kids. Nobody's done anything like that, you know? And maybe my record does represent all the struggles that I've gone through, because I've tried to balance the fight career and try to balance my clothing brand and balance being a father. And these are opportunities and situations that I couldn't turn down because I've come from nothing. So some people would say, oh, well, if you would have just focused on fighting, you might have been a world champion. That's correct. But I'm a world champion of life. I'm a champion of the struggle, because regardless of what, I'm a lot further than where I started, and I'm still fighting in the big leagues. So for me, my journey is a journey of inspiration. It's a journey that represents hard work, dedication, but most importantly, alhamdulillah, it's a journey of belief.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for the goosebumps. Was there a moment in which, when you were incarcerated or you were nearing the end, was there ever a moment where you just told yourself, like, when did you have that conversation of, that's it, this life is over, I've got to go, when I'm done and I'm out of here, I've got to go change what this life has been, and I'm going to go do, like you said, probably an even more dangerous job, being a professional fighter? And what was that moment like for you to have that self-realization? Like you said, faith is a big thing, but there, as a man, and you would know better than most, you have to have that conversation with yourself. You have to tell yourself, I'm putting this behind me and I'm moving forward to a better life.
I was in prison. I sat in a cell. I sat in a cell with a man who was 51 years of age. He was a multimillionaire who had lost everything. He was a strategical player who was very educated and had run a multi-million pound drug empire since, well, started at the age of 17 and was arrested at the age of 51. When this man sat with me and he explained to me how he ran his organization and how meticulous he was with his planning and preparation. And the only reason that he got arrested was because his partner made a mistake. His partner made a mistake, got greedy, and brought the wrong person in. And that person ended up being a police informant. Now, that at that point, it made me sit there and look at this guy, and I thought, I have got nowhere near the mental capacity of application of mind that this guy has got to apply to being a drug lord or a gangbanger or a drug gang leader. I haven't got that mental ability. I haven't got the time. I don't want to do. It sounded like hard work, and he still got caught. So at that point, I had to make a decision. I looked at myself and I said, well, I'm not as smart as this guy. Not yet, anyway, because I was 27, 26 at the time. I'm not as smart as this guy. He's 51. I'd have to sit with him every day until I'm released to understand how to run that, and I just don't want to do it. So at that point, I said, I'm out. I'm done. I want to change my life around, because if I do something, I want to be serious at it. And if I was going to be a street thug or a gangster, I wanted to be the best. And then when I seen what it took to be one of the best or the best or whatever you want to call it, I realized that it's far too much for me. And then I started to go and do the courses. So then I went on courses, and then the courses give me enlightenment, stress management, victim awareness, anger management, conflict management. Victim awareness was a course that made me realize that every crime that I've committed in the past, there has always been a victim. And it made me realize that nobody needs to be a victim from me. I don't need to make people victims, because there ain't nothing good that comes from bringing pain to other people's lives. Karma is a bitch, and karma is real, and I believe in it. So at that point, I decided to turn my life around, and I applied for my DCAT, and I did all the courses. And the courses actually changed my outlook on life and made me realize that I'm set for bigger, better things. And my mum didn't raise an evil person, and I'm a good person at heart. So then I started to work on myself and started to learn skills. And that's how I was able to come out and set myself in good stead and become a level 3 PT, and then become an assistant manager, and then become an actual gym manager. And then I was working for a major corporation called Pure Gym, and I would spin around in my office chair, and if someone would ring the bell, I'd open the door and go, hello, hi, my name's Kane Mousah. I'm the GM here at Pure Gym Rochdale. If you have any issues today, please let me know. If not, I've got a dedicated team of PTs who are working on the gym floor that can deal with any issues that you may have. Have a nice day. Goodbye. And then before that, before I went to prison, it would be like, yo, what you saying, G? Yo, tell my man, come round here and I'll blast him in his face. Does my man think I'm a dickhead? So I went from being that person to this person. And now, as a brand owner who worked for himself, I am not that, and I am not that. I am this. And I meet in the middle. I am happy medium. I'm not too corporate, and I'm not too ghetto. So I can fit into both worlds, and I can communicate to both sides. And no side feels alienated by my character. I'm like a chameleon. I adapt. I absorb. And now I'm in a position with my mindset that I understand that I am an influential person, and I have a duty to inspire and motivate the younger generation. And I'm focused and determined in doing that through action. So I'm working on my actions, and my actions is to lead from example. I lead by example by never quitting, always getting up, always working. I have a book of affirmations. I write my affirmations down every morning. I come in, I write my affirmations down. I speak my life into existence. I believe in it, and I try my hardest to execute discipline. And I've hit a lot of stumbling blocks, and I'm still hitting them now. And that's with all that dedication and application. And I understand that it's fine. It's okay. This is the path that I was set on, and this is the journey that I have to take. And I'm willing to do whatever it is to get to that position. And I will not stop until I get there.
Kane, I gotta say, I only have a couple more questions for you, and I appreciate you giving me time. I have been doing my personal podcast has over 300 episodes. This has been one of the most inspiring ones I've ever done. And I've covered not only combat sports, but basketball here in the States, football in the States, all of that. And no one has made me have self-realization during a conversation as much as you have. So if I know you're inspiring me in this, and I'm not sucking up to you, I'm just being honest with you.
I
And I
appreciate
thank you for your transparency. I know I need to get my hands on some of your clothing now because I want to represent who you are and what you represent. Because, like I said, I don't put my life story out there because I'm just a guy who likes to talk to, fighters and all that. But
But
it's
without
not it's not easy.
out there, boy. So without you, like this story, we've got the recording of this. We can chop it up. We can get it out there. Even this interview itself, chopped up the right way, the content can be used to inspire and touch other people as well, man. So by you having I do believe with interviewers, it becomes about the person that you're speaking to, right? Certain interviewers bring out a certain side of the person that's being interviewed. And if I'm honest with you, this is probably the most free flowing interview that I've had today. I might just be warming up and getting into the group, but I would like to say, and I would like to think that it's down to the rapport that me and you have built. Yeah.
I appreciate that very much. So I'll keep it short for these last two. What's your message to the next generation? Because we've talked about everything you've been through, and your purpose is not only just a better life for yourself, but it is this next generation. And let's be honest, I'm 32 years old. We know this next generation. It's all about how many followers you have, how many views you get, how many likes you get. And if you don't have any of those, what can you do to act out in a good way or in a bad way most of the time to get the attention that most seek out? And sometimes what the younger generation doesn't realize is that the attention they're seeking doesn't help them and it doesn't solve all of their problems. So, what's your message to the younger generation?
Find your substance. Find your substance of character. Stay true to your substance of character and never stop evolving. Always evolve to be a better version of yourself, but maintain substance and do not get lost in the world of cyber. When I say cyber, I mean the internet, doing stuff for clout. Still do what you need to do to build your followers, your engagement. I understand all of that. But behind that, make sure you've still got substance of character. I meet a lot of these young kids this day and age, and I'm with them, and I can tell they're not interested in conversation. They're just sat and their heads are gone with what are they going to do next for the next viral content and clip. And I feel like sometimes they lack, substance. Going for a walk in the mountains, you might eat some mushrooms, go and take a walk in the mountains and do some reflection, internal reflection, understand who you are still. Because you can be lost in this world of cyber interaction, online, always doing stuff for clout. Go and do some stuff that's going to help you reflect and do some internal reflection and understand who you are as a person and always try to build on that and always try to develop that. But one thing I will say, never stop evolving. The reason why I've still been able to stay in with this current trend is because I never stop evolving. I understand that times are moving forward. And if I was to try and stay, like a 37-year-old guy who doesn't understand what's going on the internet, and if I tap out, once I switch off to it, I'm not going to be able to move with the times. And I understand the internet, I understand influence, and I understand what it takes, but I have my substance of character. And that's because I found myself before social media and before Instagram and all this stuff come around. And it's not as easy for this younger generation because it's all in the face. And even my own children, I'm trying to keep them out of the iPads and keep them away from this stuff because it is overwhelming them. So definitely find your substance, stay true to yourself, take time to look into others, people who you care about, and take time to really look into them and never stop evolving.
Kane, last one, and I'm almost speechless. So hopefully I can get this last question out. You're taking on Dylan Tuke, June 8th in the UK, PFL Europe 2. What should everyone watching, the world will be watching, what should they expect when you step back inside the PFL Smart Cage?
Nothing but danger. That's all I bring. I come to the cage. I come to fight. I come to fight hard, and I come to hurt my opponent. I'm coming there to get my hand raised. I will win this fight. Make sure you tune in live on the Zone, PFL Europe, live at the Utility Arena in Newcastle. You're going to see Kane the Danger Mousah come with all the energy, all the fire. You already know what time it is. Battle sport all day, every day. Bah!
Perfect way to end it, Kane. I wanted to interview you for a very long time. I think we hit a home run and then some. Thank you so much. You have a fan, not only as a fighter, but as a person. I would always welcome you back on to when we're not in a fight build up, to just speak on your story even more. Like I said, batter sport. I'm going to get myself some gear sooner than later.
Boys, come on, boy. Yeah.
I'll bring it over here to the States. When people are asking me what I'm wearing, I'll let them know. And I appreciate it very much. And I thank you for being so transparent about your story. I hope it's as motivating and influential to others as it was me. So all the best. Can't wait to see you June 8th.
See you soon, brother. Sign out.